Austrian Touring Car Championship. Not quite run to the Super Touring rules, but nonetheless still providing some action. And it's a very wet Osterreichring that sees them all setting off. Two separate races. You can see red flags being held in the background because it's also a round of the Slovenian Saloon Car Championship as well. Well, heading up towards the first chicane, just look at the weather conditions. Absolutely appalling. We're on board with Wolfgang Tremmel. Going around the outside of him is Claudia Hurtgen, but the race leader there, the red car, Hans Pondorfer, well, he's gone off on the banking there. Claudia Hurtgen went straight across the grass, and she looks like she's taken the lead, but Hans Pondorfer has rejoined the race now as we look back towards the leaders. And there is Claudia Hurtgen, the lady racer, and very, very rapid in all forms of motorsport, and she's taken the lead in her Ford Escort Cosworth, ahead of her teammate, in fact, the man with the onboard camera, Wolfgang Tremmel. But the conditions absolutely appalling here in Austria, around the famous Osterreichring circuit, and lots of cars to get in the way as well. There's something like 40 cars on the grid, and in fact some of the front runners unable to take part because they got tied up in situations like this in a race held earlier in the morning. In fact, Walter Lechner himself, the very experienced Austrian racer, he got tied up in one of those little battles and ended up being shunted out. Also Leopold of Bavaria and Günther Gabbert as well, one of the early series winners, getting mixed up in some of the battling that was going on and not able to take the start of this race. Well, there, spinning out of the action is one of the cars in the second division, if you like, and well, thankfully not too much damage done. That was Bellingar, in fact. Up front, it's still Claudia Hurtgen ahead of her teammate Wolfgang Tremmel. The two Ford Escort Cosworth still ruling the roost, and these really the most competitive cars in the Austrian Touring Car Championship. Also some BMW M3s. Dieter Quester is racing in his BMW, and he's running in about 5th position at the moment, with Hans Pondorfer, the man that spun in that early run up towards the chicane. Well, he's beginning to fight his way back up the order. They're the two leaders, Claudia Hurtgen and Wolfgang Tremmel. Tremmel finished second in the first round of the championship, which we saw earlier this year on motors, and in fact won the second round of the championship. And there you could just see a flash of Hans Pondorfer managing to work his way up the order, on board with Wolfgang Tremmel, chasing after Claudia Hurtgen. Chance to see just how bad the weather conditions are still. In fact, Tremmel moving offline. Now that may be to keep his tyres down, but I would think the track's still wet enough. It's probably just to keep his windscreen a little clearer than when he's following his teammate. Oh, we've got another one in trouble up at that top chicane, and that's number 23, Alexander Neal. And well, somehow he manages to miss everybody. He was actually leading the up to 2 litre class of the Austrian touring car category, and he's now just spun that lead away. So unfortunate for him. The rest of them going through in the up to 2 litre category, but the main category still being led there by car number 12, Claudia Hurtgen from Wolfgang Tremmel in second position. And this Osterreichring, a former Grand Prix circuit, of course, last used in 1985, and venue of some great Grand Prix and a fabulous challenge for the Grand Prix drivers. But these days it's limited to motorbikes and to touring car races such as these. Now we can just see in the background there Hans Pondorfer. Actually, he's in 3rd place now, the man who spun off at the beginning. There's Claudia Hurtgen, there's Wolfgang Tremmel. Well, in fact, no, still in 3rd place is Christian Zuber in car number 11. But behind them, I think we will find that Hans Pondorfer, there he is, in 4th position, just going through the top of the picture. He's definitely catching up towards the leaders. Bit of a moment there. And in fact, that's Pondorfer coming through. Pondorfer up into 2nd place all of a sudden. And the man who had that earlier incident, well, he's certainly going very quickly indeed. Also in a Ford Escort Cosworth, Wolfgang Tremmel drops down to 3rd place. Up over the rise. And now Hans Pondorfer taking the lead by the looks of things from Claudia Hurtgen. So Pondorfer back in front. So notwithstanding climbing up the bank in the early part of the race, he now retakes the lead in this Austrian touring car race. Up the hill towards the chicane once again. That's where he had his problems earlier. And that's where some other people seem to be having problems at the moment again. Some of the baby class cars. And getting into quite a situation. There's Pondorfer leading the race in the red Escort, ahead of Claudia Hurtgen and Wolfgang Tremmel. Back on board with Tremmel, fighting their way through the traffic, and this really is a bit of a nightmare for these drivers, not only having to deal with the conditions, but also so many of these slower cars And it really is proving to be a little bit of a lottery as to who can get through safely, get past the traffic. Claudia Hurtgen getting into a bit of a moment just ahead of Tremmel there. You can see the car getting into quite a slide, and in fact that's given Tremmel the opportunity to try and take second place. He's drawing alongside as they came up over the rise, and I think Tremmel has indeed moved into second. There's our race leader Hans Pondorfer. Bit of understeer, you see the front tyres scrabbling for grip, but four-wheel drive these Escorts, of course. Yes, there indeed is Tremmel in second position now, and Hurtgen's dropped back to third position. Four-wheel drive certainly helping. Up towards chicane again, and on board we can see the race leader's gone off just in the top of the picture. Hans Pondorfer, the same corner he went off at, and there he is indeed, looking back again at him going off the circuit, sliding round, and Pondorfer, just when he'd done such a superb recovery job, throws it all away again and sees both Tremmel and Claudia Hurtgen go back in front. So can he catch them up once again? Still a couple more laps remaining here. And in fact, he didn't lose that much ground, and indeed he's in the battle once again with Wolfgang Tremmel as they come up over the rise and round towards the start-finish line for the final time. Pondorfer really pushing Tremmel as they come towards the line for the last time, but is he going to be able to get past Tremmel as they get to the checkered flag? Wolfgang Tremmel on board with him, checkered flag's being made ready, and he just wins it. Tremmel wins it from Pondorfer. Let's take another look at that. That was how they crossed the line, and you can see that Tremmel indeed was just in front of Pondorfer as they went across the line, with Claudia Hurtgen finishing in third position. So, a good race from Pondorfer's point of view. There's Claudia Hurtgen on the right of the picture. Wolfgang Tremmel taking the win, but the news after scrutineering that in fact Pondorfer was thrown out with some wrong sensor in his car, and indeed that second position was taken away from him after all that hard work.